The overriding arch here was given to us in a song before, at least to me. Have you ever seen their eyes? I found that song really so appropriate to what I feel needs to be done here, because a very big problem that we have confronted in the past, resolved, and now are confronting again, is the fact that it's very difficult for us here in the US and in the developed world in general to visualize that what we're doing here is not really going to be affecting us here first. It actually gets projected onto other landscapes, other organisms, other places, and the more invisible they are, the better. And that is, I think, the topic of the Biotechnology Industry Organization this week. How to make these things invisible, how to avoid you and your eyes gazing at what they're doing. If there's anything I want to bring as a message, is that my recognition, my understanding that that really is the agenda. So it has to be our agenda to keep it visible, to keep reminding ourselves that what's going on here has consequences in other places. 1999, again brought up by Brian, is a very important time of convergence. Not only was Seattle happening, not only was Kyoto happening, where there was a worldwide revolt. I don't know if you recognize that, but it was a moment of worldwide revolt. Davos was falling apart, Kyoto was forming, where even governments, for goodness sake, governments were recognizing that there was something, that we needed to change something. And the streets of Seattle really epitomized that revolt. It also coincided, the convergence was so important that it also coincided with a very important report from the financiers of biotechnology. Lehman Brothers, for example, Ernst & Young, but more importantly the Deutsche Bank, in the summer of 1999, was putting out a report to their investors saying, if you thought that this ag biotechnology industry was going to produce something good, think again, move your money when you can, while you can. Anybody who knew anything between the summer of 1999 and the spring of 2000 moved their money away from that. Why? Because ag biotechnology was not trading, very simply from the financial point of view, no morals, no ethics, no justice or anything, simply from the financial point of view, their products were trading at a discount as opposed to an overprice. The end of that trial. If you look at the person next to you, and I would invite you to do that and maybe even shake hands, as some people do in churches and things like that. If you look at the person next to you and shake hands, it's very likely that you are shaking hands with the person responsible for that financial return for the biotechnology industry. The campaign against GMOs was extremely successful, and it has to be celebrated. The campaign against this lie that biotechnology was out there to feed the world has been defeated. Nobody's saying that in the right mind. Of course they go away, and I will hear from people I think on this panel that they go away to other continents where the news are really trickling more slowly, and they repeat the same mantra. We're here to save the world, we're here to heal the world, and so on and so forth. But that campaign has been defeated. And 1999 to 2000 really was a point for those of us who have studied this for a couple of decades, in my case, was the turning point. And it was turned because of our work, because of the work of these organizations and organizations that are satellite of this. So I think that's very important to recognize. It has to be recognized, though, that this is not a campaign that is about to go away. That this was not just a few rich people trying to make a little more money. This is a campaign that is very large, and I wanted to share a quote with you that I think is very illuminating. I have a whole presentation based around that, but without too much time, I just wanted to use this as a vignette. This quote comes from none other than the Secretary of Agriculture under Clinton. So if you thought that this was a Republican thing, you're wrong. If you thought that this was just a venture capital thing, you're wrong. If you thought that this was only a few rich people trying to make more money, you're wrong. This is something much deeper than that we need to tackle and engage with. Here comes the quote from Dan Glickman as he was leaving his office as Secretary of Agriculture of the US, your Secretary of Agriculture, my Secretary of Agriculture. Quote, "What I saw generically on the pro-biotech side was the attitude that their technology was good and that it was almost immoral to say that it wasn't good because it was going to solve the problems of the human race and feed the hungry and clothe the naked. And there was a lot of money that had been invested in this, and if you're against it, you're Luddites, you're stupid." The amount of money that Ernst & Young estimated in 2003 is approximately $330 billion going into this experiment, this financial experiment. $330 billion. It is, you know, kind of Iraq type of amount. So if you are going against this, and I continue with a quote, you're against it, you're Luddite, you're stupid. There was rhetoric like this even here in this Department of Agriculture. You felt like you were almost an alien, disloyal, by trying to present an open-minded view on some of the issues being raised. So I pretty much spouted the rhetoric that everybody else around here spouted. It was written into my speeches.